This is the Sports Source, presented by Junk Be Gone and Renewal by Anderson. Now, your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source, presented today by Junk Be Gone. We have a full show. Tennessee loses in overtime at number 13 LSU yesterday. Plenty to talk about there. Did the refs steal it? That seems to be one take. Are the Vols cooked? That seems to be another take that's out there. Is that the way we view it here on the panel? We will tell you. Plus, we've got a little tidbit of Tennessee football to discuss as well. Let's jump right into this show. First segment brought to you by Junk Be Gone, a company that I use every single year. You can rent a dumpster from these guys, fill it yourself, and let them haul your stuff away. They also do full service removal where they come in, load up your junk for you, and take it away. So you got something big, they can do it. And if they can move it, they can take it. So if you've got some boat sitting in the back of your house that you want to get rid of, bang, Junk Be Gone. Anything, they can get rid of it. Junk Be Gone, great company, great local company, family owned like so many of my clients. Junk Be Gone. All right, want to welcome in the first wave of panelists today. We got a big crew here today. Mark Pancratz, former Vol assistant coach, former Division I basketball player. Good to have you here. Josh Ward, Mike Strange, Chuck Cavaleris. We're just going to, the graphics will tell people who you are. All right. Vols blow a lead and waste a pretty good effort yesterday at number 13 LSU. 82-80, the loss in overtime. Lots to cover. No shame in losing a road game to a ranked team in overtime. So we talked earlier this year, you're going to have losses. Go on the road, it's going to be tough. We said last week LSU's going to be tough. So there's no shame in that. That said, after the Kentucky game, Tennessee, Rick Barnes made it clear Tennessee needed to play better defense. We talked about it last week on the show. We showed their defensive rankings aren't where you need to be if you're looking to be a Final Four type team. They played better defense for 3 halves after the Kentucky game. And then the second half yesterday went kind of sideways. I know that LSU's success with the high ball screen was driving you nuts during the game. Mark Pancratz, your thoughts on Tennessee's defense?
Well, you know, it was hindered by Jordan Bone being kind of
ill or injured,
whatever that was. So Lamonte was guarding the ball screen, and we couldn't keep Smart in front of him. He kept going right. They brought up the high ball screen. A couple times we stopped and forced the guard to make a pass. They had non-point guards playing point guard yesterday with Tremont Waters out. So we got to make them make decisions and make plays for others when their mojo is being scorers. A couple times they did that. Reed takes a bad three-pointer. They get a travel. And so we just didn't make that adjustment, and Lamonte just kept getting burnt off the dribble in the top three. And that's what teams done. Whether it was ball screen or they've spread us out, they've been able to attack penetration.
What options did Rick Barnes have over on the sideline? Any, or is this, these are my guys, this is what I got?
Well, it's part of what we've talked about all year is the lack of depth at the guard position. And Jordan Bone, whether it's because of foul trouble or because of illness, wasn't able to stop the point guard. But there weren't much adjustments other than the fact that zone has been so good to us at times throughout this year.
As much as Barnes hates it.
And as much, it's not in his DNA, and so I understand why he didn't do it. But, man, there's a couple times maybe we could have thrown some zone to be able to get them off kilter.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on the defense before we get into the officiating?
Yeah, well, one thing I would add is with the lack of depth maybe at guard, especially if Bone's not able to be 100% effective the way that he wants to be, is remember Tennessee tried to bring in a guard, Quan Four from Richmond.
At Louisville now.
Yeah, he's at Louisville now. Losing James Daniel from last year, maybe that's where it hurts you a little bit to where you just, I know we're going to get into how much you have available. Maybe that's a spot where there's a guy they wanted to bring in for an obvious reason. He's playing 20 minutes a game for a top 25 team. That's something Tennessee could use right now.
Can I say something real fast, too? The other thing we have to take a step back of is this team has lost 3 games all year.
No. The house is on fire.
No, to 3 top 15 teams, nobody at home, you know, and so I understand the
Mr.
sky is, but that's the other part of this team is like you said to start it off. We expected this game to be tough, and LSU is a very good opponent, and we didn't play our best.
Wait till the next segment. The next segment, we've got a segment coming up, which is the don't freak out, and I'll show you some stats why. But we'll discuss that a little bit later.
But for now, let's freak out.
Well, no, we're not freaking out. I just asked you about the defense.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to ask about officiating because that's all anybody cries about when Tennessee loses. It's the officials. And I always get the stats on Twitter. Look at the free throws that the other team shot. We only shot this many. I never get those tweets when Tennessee's at home and they get twice. Nobody ever tweets me and says, well, they jobbed the other team. No, it's right when Tennessee doubles up on the opponent. So anyway, refs stole it. I don't buy that for a second. You went to LSU. You made the point. They didn't have their best player. You lost. There were plenty of reasons you lost yesterday. It wasn't the officials. That said, let's hum it down to one call. Williams hit at the end of the game, 0.6 seconds on the other end of the floor with a block, gives them the game-winning free throws. Do you believe in calling that foul?
Unless I've never been in an officials conference, about what to emphasize, what not to emphasize. If they ever have one and say, let's just don't call plays like that really, 0.6, come on, 80 feet from the ball. Unless there's a philosophy to do that, then if it's still, you got to call it. Unless there's a
and I don't think anybody's ever done that.
No, I don't either.
Right.
So it was a foul. He was going.
Kind of stumbled.
He was going for the ball, trying to get the rebound.
I think he flopped. I think he flopped again. I think go back and watch it. He does the whole dive back. I think he's trying to get a charge there. I mean, it backfired. Go back and watch it. I think he flopped.
And the argument for people is let the players determine the outcome of the game. Yeah. The player determined the outcome of the game because Lamonte Turner decided to take a bad shot. Right. So he determined the outcome of the game because he took a bad shot, which led to
if he doesn't shoot there, then there is no.
But you gave the ref a reason to blow the whistle. In a situation like that, there's a collision. And to me, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, the referee may not know how much time's on the clock. Right. He's calling the play. Right. And even if you didn't call it on Williams, you could have called a foul right after that.
That's right. Dick Vitale pointed that out. You could have called one of two guys for a foul.
You rushed your shot coming back down court. And that was the problem.
Let's go there. That was the problem.
That was the problem.
Lamonte Turner, you had 3.5 seconds, more than 3 seconds, and he acted like they had half a second. He fires up, they pull up 3. He hasn't been hitting well, which we'll also get into later. But, Mark, after the game, Rick Barnes said that's the kind of situation where a coach needs the ability to call timeout. The NCAA rules no longer allow coaches to call timeout there. Your thoughts on that rule and Rick Barnes' comments after the game?
I agree that he should be allowed to call timeout. However, if you go back and watch the play, Bowden is running right in front of Barnes. He's running down the sidelines right in front of Barnes. If Barnes wanted a timeout, he could be yelling to Bowden to turn to the official, who was actually also trailing the play right in front of Barnes. So both guys would have had the opportunity. But I agree. Lamonte had in his mind that he was going to go shoot it. But it's the other side of it, right? We talk about Lamonte being the one guy that's got the ice water in his veins. He wants the big shot, and we praise him for it when he makes it.
When it goes in, yeah.
But when he does it, it's the
if he hit it, it was brilliant.
Right.
What a brilliant pull-up jumper.
But I do think Barnes should have been allowed to make that call.
And don't you think it's a little interesting that in the women's game they changed the rules to where you can call timeout and advance the ball?
Well, it's because they can't make.
Well, I know they don't, but wouldn't that have been a neat? Wouldn't that have been neat if you'd had international rules for the men as well?
Text from Joan Cronin.
I've got 3 daughters. That's all right.
That's on you.
Well, I understand, but I think it would have been neat.
Any other thoughts on the Turner shot?
Not so much on the Turner shot, but on the free throws. LSU shot a lot of free throws because, like Mark said, their dribble drive defense were drawing fouls. Tennessee was having a hard time defending without fouling.
And you let a right-handed freshman guard continually dribble drive to his right and get a layup.
Yeah.
If you can't fix that and you're not going to play a zone, quit preaching how great defense you play, because you don't.
Well, he hasn't been. He's been preaching they don't play great defense.
And again, it goes back to where this team, and we'll talk about later, but our defense is being affected because of our lack of depth. And we'll talk about more of it, and I know later when we talk about being tired. But that's part of it.
We were talking before the show, if you want to complain about the refs and say that it was fixed, which I kept seeing yesterday, it's odd then that they didn't call Tennessee for the elbow to the head on LSU's last 3-point shot in regulation.
Yeah, it's 3 free throws to win the game.
But let's go to the monitor and check that and see how many seconds are left.
Let's go. Coming up a little later, past Final Four teams. It says don't panic. If you look at history, it says don't panic. Does our panel agree, or should you panic? And then also, coming up next, how much are tired legs a part of Tennessee's recent struggles? I've talked about the minutes they've been playing for weeks now. We'll show you some numbers next and see if it is tired legs. Small back.